one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
The meeting will please come to order. We do have proof of posting in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code as amended, known as the Texas Open Meetings Act. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Thank you. Any members of the public who wish to speak shall each have 5 minutes. 3 minutes, I'm sorry. Anyone? All right.
Just can we skip number 1 and do it after number 3?
You certainly can. We'll go to number 2. To discuss the clerk situation for JP 2 and JP 4. All right.
Judge, I've got some handouts I'd like to give each one of the commissioners.
All right.
And you
Thank
prepare. Most everything we've got to say today, I've already done. This will be the 3rd time, so this is a little bit extra information on
All right.
Melissa. I had Melissa keep for me for a month or so on what the clerk does. I also went to JP training, the Texas Justice Court Training Center, 3 different times. And one time they did a survey of the 171 JPs that were represented there. Only the question was, how many of you have a full-time clerk? A full-time or more full-time clerk. 170 of the 171 said we did. Some of them also have a full-time clerk and a part-time clerk. So that was, counties are a lot larger than we are, a lot bigger population, but there are also quite a few that were a lot smaller or with similar populations. The one county that didn't is a West Texas county with a very small population. And so it's not just that we're saying we need a JP clerk, full-time JP clerk for it, but I mean, it's pretty obvious to me that you got 171 JPs represented, and all of them had at least one full-time clerk. It's just a whole lot. And I can't speak for whatever JP office does, but that's what we've done in JP2, and it's a pretty full-time. It's not a pretty full-time job. It's a busy job. If you get one person running both offices, we had a few days where we went with Melissa being the only one there, and it's crazy. I mean, you're answering phones for both offices, and you got different questions, and you got to get out of one system, go get in the other JP system. It's just not going to work. I mean, so what I would, because again, I made the same presentation basically. I don't want to get like some of you folks that come all the time, make the same presentation every time. So what I'd like to see is kind of what your thoughts are, what your questions are, and let us try to address those. And I'll get Melissa, and I'm sure Judge Hendricks don't want to add something also. But which complicates it even more is I had hired Stephanie Whitfield part-time with the plan that she was going to take Melissa's place. But Judge Hendricks can talk about this, but she's got a new girl that's been there a week. So we not only would be one person trying to cover 2 offices, but they're not going to be trained. So that complicates things more. If Melissa was going to be there from now on, Melissa might could handle that. And I'm not saying that And Stephanie Whitfield is my new clerk that's working part-time. I think she's gonna be fine, but she's only been doing it for 3 months, and there's just a lot to it. I mean, it's just, so, anyway, and Lisa, Judge Hendricks may want to add something different, but I'd like to just see kind of what your thoughts are on those, try to address those, and then we can move forward, you know.
Thank you, Jim.
But I
Judge Lawrence, I'm
appreciate your,
sorry.
I have to work on that myself. If you got some questions or concerns and kind of what's your thought process, and this, Andy's, you got that flipped over there, that's kind of a comparison with the caseloads in Freestone, Leon, and Armstrong County. In the criminal cases that look a little bit skewed are mostly from Freestone County and some from Leon County where you've got the interstate on there, because all the tickets are there. Court 1 and Court 3 get all the interstate tickets. So you can see that on the civil stuff and you know, we're pretty consistent, our two courts, with what those two Freestone County precincts are, and then also with Limestone, Leon County. And they've all got full-time clerks. So, anyway, that's just, but like I say, we'd be glad to entertain any questions you got or what your concerns are, rather than just go over the same old stuff again.
How many days are y'all on call? Does JP on call all the time? JP
we're
on call all the
call.
time? Or do y'all do that one time?
We're on call every 4 weeks.
Sir?
We cover the whole week for every 4 weeks. Like
So you're only on call every 4 weeks?
From Monday to Monday. Monday at 8 o'clock, we go on and we're on call the next Monday. Cover the whole county, the jail, inquest, EDO, emergency detention officers, hospital.
Yes, sir.
Don't usually schedule any court dates on that time, because as soon as you get one scheduled, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 scheduled on one day, you end up getting called out on an inquest or something. Inquest can take as long as 30 minutes or 3 hours, depending on what it is, you know.
Do y'all always go to your office every day?
I usually go about 2 hours or so in the morning, and I go about 2
So
hours.
you're speaking for yourself. You go
I'm speaking for myself,
Okay.
but I don't know what
I go every day too.
I don't know what the other JPs do, you know.
We pay a travel allowance for y'all. It's pretty good for travel, but then you only travel 1 day, 1 week out of a month. Then I guess you're traveling to an
Well,
office.
you know, it depends on what you do during that. I mean, sometimes we don't have a call during that week we're on, other than coming to the jail. Sometimes you may have several. But I mean, to me, that's really immaterial to what we're talking about as far as having a clerk though. Because the clerk has to be there to do a certain amount of work every
Answering
day.
the phones, the people in the lobby.
Every day. And in the, again, you know, we're there to serve the community and to do the work for the county. And, you know, we need somebody there, and they need to be able to answer questions as best they can. Of course, a lot of times people are asking questions that myself or the clerk can't really answer, because there's kind of a fine line to what you answer that's legal advice or that's just a question about how they do something. So, you know, somebody needs to be there to do those things, but there's just a whole lot of stuff that goes on as far as the paperwork, report to the state, report to the county, reports to court administration that just has to be done. Just a lot of reconciling of things that goes on, and one clerk I just simply do not think can handle it for both courts. You know, we're in the same office together, and that has worked out okay. I mean, it's worked out pretty good. The problem we've had is space. I think that's going to be addressed as far as storage space, because when you take an office that's okay and you put 2 offices in there and everybody's got about the same amount of storage, so I mean, I think we've got that in the process working out. But the one clerk deal, you know, I just don't think it's going to work. But anyway, what other questions might y'all have or concerns or?
You just come for 2 hours a day in the morning, 2 in the afternoon?
I come about 2 hours both times, sign documents and do, whatever needs to be done. But I don't know that that's not fairly common for courts that don't have just a full docket every day. I know it's as much or more than some JPs do, okay? I don't go and sit all day for 8 hours every day, no, I don't. But I don't know.
What I'm talking
I don't know
about,
too
this
many.
work that the clerk's doing, you couldn't do it?
We don't need to be discussing any civil cases with anyone that comes in to file. People will come file them and ask us questions, and we don't need to be involved in that. There needs to be a clerk to be able to answer those questions and give the person the petition and everything that goes along with it.
I mean, could the JP do that? I don't really know, because I've never had to, never known, I've never personally known one that did all that. They have a clerk that does that, and they work with the clerk, but and I'm not saying there aren't some that do, I'm not saying there aren't some that could or can do, but I've never run across one yet that's doing all that paperwork.
What happens when somebody comes to pay a ticket and you're not there, one of y'all are not there, and your clerk doesn't know how much it is? What happens then? Do they have to go back home and then come some other time?
I can only speak for precinct 2. We very seldom have, and that's not saying anything about any other precinct, but
Okay.
we don't usually have that problem.
Well, I know what Lisa's saying, Judge Hendricks is saying, you cannot talk to somebody about the case itself. I know when people come in our office, if it has to do with the case, I tell them I cannot talk about your case. I can talk about the scheduling if you need to schedule something, but you can't talk about the case. So it's not like you can't answer the phone or you can't talk to someone that comes in, but you have to be very clear that you can't talk about the case itself.
Yes, I know, I've had to tell them that. Do not tell me anything, take your petition and fill it out, that's it.
But that happens to a lot of, not all the time, but it does happen when people come and call and I answer the phone or I
As
talk.
far as I sit in the office all day long, I don't, but, we need to be consistent. We need to look at all 4 JPs and see if they all sit in. And I don't know that they do, I don't know that they don't.
If they do what now?
I don't know if the other 4 precincts, I don't know if they do, I don't know if they don't.
Do
But
what?
I don't think,
If they do what?
I don't
Sit-
think
sit
part
in
of
their
them
office.
sit in their office for 8 hours every day. But maybe they do, I don't know. But
The way I
Yep,
see
it
it,
just-
as long as y'all tend to y'all's dockets and y'all's court case, that you manage your office. That's how that's y'all's business, the way I look at it. Just like it's our business, how we don't sit around the phone, 8 hours a day.
Sit around the phone 8 hours a day?
We got our phone 8 hours a day. We got our phone 24 hours a day. You know what I'm talking about. We all tend to other things too.
Y'all have a county cell phone?
no. Don't know sure they want one.
Sir?
Don't know sure they want one.
I know. Yeah, welcome to the real world.
But again, people are gonna call me on a county phone because, some night, but they know I'm not gonna be able to really talk to them very much about it. I can tell them to come to the office and get a self-litigator packet if that's what they wanna do, but that's really about all I can tell them. I can't tell them what kind of course, what kind of case to file, or anything.
But your clerk can't tell them that either.
No, that's what I'm saying. So, I think in talking to other JPs at these schools and stuff is, other than the ones that just have a tremendously large docket every day nearly, they don't stay in office 8 hours a day either. It's kind of a job that, you gotta be there when you gotta be there, and you gotta be there enough to tend to business, but you don't have to be there 8 hours a day. As far as I know, the JP's in precinct 2, because Dad was JP 20 years ago, and Judge Hamilton was there, and they got their job done, but they didn't stay there all day. In fact, 2 hours a day, 4 hours a day, probably more than either of them stayed. But, anyway. It seems to be like there's some kind of a problem going on that I don't need to know about, I don't want to know about, but it's drawing two JP courts together, and to me, it ought not be that way. JP2 court shouldn't be more or less punished because there's some kind of problem with JP4. And I don't know what the problem is, I don't care to know what the problem is, I don't even know if there is a problem. But it seemed like, our court is being punished, I look at it, by having one clerk serving both of them, when I don't think we ought to be involved in that discussion.
My clerk was out quite a bit last month due to her husband having some medical issues. I won't discuss that, but and I had surgery, not that that needs to be discussed either, so there wasn't anyone there to answer the phone while I was out, and then I had a training at the end of the month, so I'm not sure if that's the problem. I know Karen has tried to call a few times when someone's not there, but other than that, I'm there, so.
During that time, and that's when I kind of saw what the problem is going to be, because Melissa and Stephanie were trying to take as many of those calls as they could. But it was just, like I say, when you're answering for JP2, and then all of a sudden you take a call for JP4, number one, you got to keep those things separated, but then you've got to go into JP4 system, and then you got to go back to your system. And I mean, it's just going to be a load. And what I visualize happening if we went to that, it takes a pretty tough person to do that, to handle the pressure and to handle the workload. And I'm afraid we just end up with a constant turnover of people. And it takes a while for a JP clerk to get comfortable with their job. I mean, probably a year or so. And so that's another concern I have, is that we don't need just a constant turnover. And I mean, it's a pressure job, especially there's a lot of pressure to it. I'm not saying a lot of jobs don't have that, doing a one-person job, but when you put one person doing basically the task of two people, it just can overwhelm most people. Because I've worked with lots of people, and you just get to the point where they don't fuss about the pay, they don't fuss. I mean, well, they don't fuss about the pay, but basically what it gets down to is they just can't handle stress anymore. They go home, they're stressed, they're stressed at work. I've had people come to me bawling and squalling because they just can't take it anymore. And that's what I visualize happening with one clerk in those two offices. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I say that from 42 years experience in dealing with women. There are women that just, not just women. I've had a man one time that quit one day, just walked in and said, I can't take it anymore, and left. But anyway, that's a whole other story.
I do have a question. I would like to know who would benefit from us having one clerk or just a part-time clerk, because it wouldn't be us and it would not be the citizens. Who benefits from it? Is someone else wanting a full-time position, or if there was money already in the budget for a full-time position, as my clerk quit a week or two ago, so there was money in the budget for her position. I don't understand why there's even a question as far as money being in the budget for that position.
Well, I feel like we made a mistake, and the court did. This is my opinion, by changing everything. I mean, the moving in, the doing the clerk deal, I was guilty for, when it happened, but I just want to see what we can do to help get this, where y'all get some help. What do we need to do to make sure you got plenty of help to correct our mistake? That's what I'd like to do.
I think my deal, to answer Lisa's question, and I said this before, back during budget season, to me it's always been looking at the numbers, and I appreciate the information that you told us today, Judge Lawrence, and I was started out, and I still think it in my head, but I'm looking at revenues, not just the number of cases, and I just look at how much money each office brings in each month, when we get reports. And when you see 1 in 3, and I understand that the interstate tickets are a big part of that. But when they're doing 20, it's to enforce between 25 and 33% less in those receivables.
But, so we're having to pay for that because troopers or deputies are not riding enough in our precinct?
They're supposed to ride in the precinct where the ticket is issued, is that correct?
Correct. In the portion, in the
Well, we don't
interstate
have-
broke down in portions where 2
It
and
does.
4 are supposed to get a portion of it.
It's
But
divided
a
into 4
deputy
sections.
court doesn't have any control over that.
Right,
And
but I
there's
guess
still,
what I'm saying is as far as the.
still things though that have to be done besides those tickets. Do they generate, but I assume the majority of the additional income they make is off the tickets. So it's not really fair, doesn't look to me like, to look strictly at the number of tickets and the amount of revenue
Well,
drawn.
no, the revenue comes from tickets and some is court costs. And, you
Well, I
know,
understand, but if the court costs
Mhm.
are basically on the civil and the other things, then we're generating a similar amount of income on that. So, and but we don't have any control. If we were all equal, I mean, we wouldn't be talking about, I mean, I don't know. It's just,
and you know, looking at the revenue, it's not that we're looking to get more revenue from each one. That just kind of shows,
I'm not
the
saying that-
numbers that are,
I'm
that
not
went
saying
through,
that
basically.
1 in 3 don't do more work, they don't generate more income.
Yeah.
But there are still certain things that have gotta be done with it. If you didn't have, if y'all had the same equal amount of tickets issued, I mean, I don't know how to explain it anymore. I mean.
I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
Well,
Go right
I just said,
ahead.
that's what I based my, back in budget time, I'm just explaining myself, that's what I based, things on. I'm looking at being a good steward of taxpayer money and not overspending when we
You
don't have
gotta be
to
considering the
overspend.
money, but you also have to provide a service to the community or the taxpayers. And we're not gonna be able to supply that service, provide that service without full-time clerks, I don't think. I mean, because, I mean, our office also with the Veterans Affairs and with the constable there, our clerk takes a lot of their calls. Now, precinct 4, constable is not, he's set up to have an office, but he's not there a lot. Works out of his office, I think. But I mean, I don't know, that's about all I know to really say. I think it's gonna put, but, and again, I don't know, anyway.
And the moving the offices, who benefited from me moving my office? It wasn't given to anyone until months later to the IT guys, from what I understand. What was the purpose of spending the money on moving my office to TIG?
Anything, there was plans that changed.
There were. And in the budget, it is budgeted for half of the salary in 2 and half in 4 at this time. Of course, that could be changed.
Well, what do we need to do to change that? That's my question.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion we change, we get them back to where they got 1 full-time apiece where they can attend business.
Is right now, anybody full, yours is full-time and yours is part-time? Is that
I
right?
don't have a full-time now. She quit a week or 2 ago. And I advertised for the position already and then was called a few days later to tell me we were having a meeting about the full-time position. I have a part-time girl that started last Tuesday.
The part-time 29 a week.
29 hours a week. And I have $1,500 in my part-time budget. That's before the drug test and background test and all that. So I'm not sure right this moment how much I have.
Yeah, Melissa, I got something to add.
I mean, I'm everybody knows I'm leaving, so I don't have really anything to gain out of lose out of this, but I do for the citizens, for the people that I help. But what Jimmy gave you there is that's just 2 weeks. And when we had the meetings last year, I'm like, what can I provide them to help them, see what we do every day? And so when I could, I diaried everything I did throughout the day. And it's documented by time. Sometimes I didn't have time, but you could see in there, that's what I did over a 2-week period. And that's just the end of last year. And since end of last year, Judge Archibald used to do all the truancy cases. She was no longer doing that. So we've taken all the truancy cases for Teague ISD, all the parent contributing cases for Teague ISD. Also, the Teague ISD has asked our office and the DA's office to step in on e-cigarette cases that they've had issues with at the school. So now we're doing all the e-cigarette cases coming out of Teague ISD. One other thing that's changed, and Sergeant can talk this a little bit if he wants, but so before all the DPS tickets used to come with a complaint, and they're using a new system. And I think with some things going on there, so that the ticket doesn't come with a complaint anymore. In order to manage our case files, we have to now keep up with all those tickets that don't have complaints and those that don't appear, and then go back and try to request that to get that filed with the ticket. So that's another thing that's kind of been added to the clerk's responsibility. Some things that I would like to do before I leave that we haven't been doing. Judge Hamilton before didn't really want to go into doing warrants for outstanding tickets, but Judge Lawrence has expressed some interest in doing that to try to get people to come and take care of their tickets. We would like to start doing that, and I haven't even had time with the meeting and what I've already been doing to try to get into how that process is supposed to go. But that's something that...
Do y'all turn those over to Omni?
Yes, we do Omni and collections, and we have a little bit, and actually that's kind of dropped off a lot in this last year. So we were looking at the other alternative to try to get people to come in and take care of tickets, and that's to issue warrants. And we haven't got into that yet. So that's something I've never done myself. So I've been trying to read up on it and would like to do that, with Stephanie while she's here. I've talked to other JP clerks that do it, and try to, as another alternative, to try to get people to take care of the outstanding tickets to manage our case files more. So that's just something that we're not even doing now that I would like to get going before we leave. So, and that's, like I said, just another avenue for us to try to get people to take care of some of their outstanding tickets. So.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to leave or to change and have a full-time clerk in both 2 and 4, and to amend the budget. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the motion, I think.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Did y'all vote? Voted aye?
I did.
I did.
Motion carried.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you very much.
Next.
All right, and now we'll go back to number 1, or number 3? Number 3. Dispatch and dispatch building. There he is.
I got, this is kind of a short list of items that we're addressing with the new dispatch building. I spent some time over here in the deputy's office doing the body cams set up, and was talking to the sheriff. This building over here where the dispatch, or where currently the sheriff deputy's office is at, is really an ideal, in my opinion, location for the new dispatch facility. It's going to simplify this list, I think, we might be able to use some shared resources, as far as the generator, and the ease of move, just to transfer. I spoke with Dan, so the kind of thought process was to try to put the tax office, Dan's office over into the new facility that we've been looking at from the, for the dispatch. There's some benefits in it that it's gonna be more accessible, higher visibility. There's not gonna be as much work as far as generators and these kind of things involved in setting up this, moving the sales tax office over there. The other thing it does is it keeps all law enforcement together, which we're kind of breaking dispatch. We move them over there. We're just kind of decentralizing our law enforcement. I don't know, Dan came up and looked at it. He thought that it would accommodate his needs. And so it's just kind of pitching it up on the table to get y'all's thoughts on what the idea is. The thought would be to go ahead and finish out the building to Dan's specs and then move the deputies over to where the tax office is right now, and then get the dispatch set up in the new location. It's gonna help also, we've got some issues, I say issues, it's timing for the CJIS licenses. We're gonna have to go to this new location, we're gonna have to go through and reapply for a transfer on that license, which I understand will take 3-4 months before we'll have that service available in the new location, where once again there's some groundwork that needs to be evaluated, but I believe that we probably just hold this license right where we're at, so that eliminates that 3 or 4 month time period.
Also eliminates the tower.
That's something that would be probably in Leonard's area.
Leonard, this all new to you too, isn't it?
Absolutely. Nobody's keeping me in the loop with anything.
Well,
So-
don't feel left out, because Dane told me about this Thursday afternoon. And Friday morning, I called Dan, because I thought Dan's the first person getting affected that, doesn't know that we're talking about this. And, so Friday, Dan and Dane went up there and looked at the building. So this is just all for talk. And it's basically, is it gonna make it faster, keep us on schedule? Is it gonna be a lot easier, and is it gonna save us money? I called Matt this morning to ask about the generator, and looking at where the deputies are now, that building does have its own meter in correlation with the county clerk's office. They're on separate systems, but that's 110, 220, and we know we're on 3-phase at the sheriff's department for that generator. So
The thing is also is the size of the room that we were cutting out for dispatch over the new facility. The size of this room is perfect, as well as it's airy. You're asking people to sit in it for 12 hours a day doing dispatch in a high-stress environment, and when you're confined, so it's just the ergonomics of the room. I believe this is a lot better, but as well the security, because we're having to try to reinforce this building down here because of the nature of dispatch. Where this building is already, it's sealed off. There's no windows. It's controlled access with magnetic locks and these kind of things. So just from a security standpoint, so you got the room size, you got the security, it's keeping law enforcement together. From the flip side, the sales tax office would be in a higher visibility, going to be better access for elderly citizens, if you would, with ADA access, as well. It could be designed to have a drive-through, which I believe Dan had mentioned. He's had a number of citizens ask about a drive-through, which this building would never facilitate that. It also opens up
Even if we couldn't have that drive-through down there, it's certainly gonna be easier for them to get in and out.
You wouldn't have the stairs
Yeah.
or the long ramp.
The other thing is and I have spoke to the sheriff about this early on, just in general passing. He said, I'd love to have that facility over there. And what it could do is, outside of moving dispatch over here, then with the deputies, that office would be big enough to accommodate some administrative functions for the sheriff office out of there, out of that location. So it opens up the sheriff office with more space as well. So that's the thought.
So if the tax office went to a new facility, we would not need a generator in there, is that what you're saying?
We could,
No.
that'd be kind of Dan's call right there if he wants a generator. If we did, then it's not a level 1 facility at that time, and a 20 kW like you was gonna put at your house would work, so.
Okay. And then dispatch, if they went there, you're talking about connecting this generator
That would be
to
the thought
that,
if it's
if there's
possible.
enough, if there's enough power.
Right now, the load is about 45%, you said? 47% load on that whole sheriff. I think there certainly needs to be some look at, deeper dive into that need before we can answer that.
All right, and then.
We'll save on a tower, no tower needed.
You want to move, you want to move
And
into
That's more
already been
ordered thoughts, I don't know.
We might could
It's
still
already ordered.
we might could
That's-
still.
That's gonna be a question for Huffman's.
Okay.
I mean, I can ask them, but
I'm trying to
It's-
figure out
it's already been-
savings. You know, what we're, I mean, I'm.
it's already been ordered, it's
Yeah.
on its way, so
When did he say it would be here?
he hadn't given me a time yet.
Okay.
He just told me that it's on its way.
The overall, the systems we've been installing, the cameras in the car, E-Force is online, okay, it's active currently. Building the back end of the system, I can get with Leonard on it, but all we're doing is building the base database, and that's currently been done by dispatch. In speaking with E-Force last week about doing cloud hosting, which isn't any additional money to the county. But we can stay on the cloud. I asked them about the CGIS side of it, which was always a concern. Apparently, right now, they're launching Cockrell Hill. Full access, they got to do it on AWS government hosting, which is available for us. So that pulls everything into the cloud. It gives us availability. Some of the issues were that you couldn't come in the cloud environment, that couldn't detect, that DPS wouldn't allow information across state lines. But apparently they have got some rule changes that are currently taking place that are going to allow it to be hosted in the cloud. And Cockrell Hill's the first one that I'm aware of that's launching that way. I don't know if you have any insight on that or not.
Explain that deal as far as how these servers are working right now and how Freestone County has something in Sulphur Springs. What?
Yeah, on the current systems that we're using, I was looking for servers that kept on, because we're saying we're not on the cloud, but, right? And so I found that the servers that are hosting there's one in Sulphur Springs, Sheriff Department, and the other server is in, I think, Henderson County. So that it's.
Where are they serving? Servers for serving what?
They are net data.
Okay.
Our current net data system, they're hosting they got a server host on that. So we basically are accessing remotely. We don't have it local. The software is not residing locally.
But there's a reason for that.
I'm sure there is. What it is, I don't know. It took me a month to find where the servers were at.
But to utilize the cloud, like what you were saying a while ago, then it'd be kind of the same format?
Yes.
Something would be held in another county?
Well, it would be held, on what I found out last week, we can host it on, it would be hosted on AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, government platform. Okay, they got a platform just for government agencies, and that's where they've approved the hosting to take place. So that's going to be where the host will be physically. I don't know, it's going to be some data center, okay? but there'll be controlled access. I'm sure there's, you know, but we've already got the radio communications, everything here. So it's just a timing issue. It's just, you know, we're not gonna have to go through, I don't know what costs would be associated, but there was definitely a timing issue that we were to go to the facility on getting that license transferred. It just to me makes common sense. I mean, you just start looking at it and you're going, yeah, I mean, the tax office go down there, that's good. You don't have to go through as much work. That room is designed, I mean, to me, that's just designed for the dispatch. It's no windows, and the size is right, controlled access.
What do you think?
That's what I've been
so
on
far?
this.
Where are the deputies gonna go that are currently in there?
They would go to the sales tax office. So you basically you'd have the sheriff, the jail,
There's no sales tax in the county.
sorry,
Tax.
tax office. So tax office goes to the new building. Deputies, we go over where the tax office is now. Dispatch, you go where the deputies are at now. And
If we
Well, I
decide, we
don't know.
need to
Like I say,
decide, and then that would be the next thing to talk about.
Will there be a panic button down at the building down there, or in case y'all have an emergency? Dan, do you know?
What's the question?
Would there be a panic button, emergency nothing?
Yes, that's my only concern. We feel very comfortable in our current location for security, you know, having the sheriff's department direct across the street and cop cars visible. That's my big concern down there is security, because you really kind of need to think of us as like a bank. You know, not just an office, but more like a bank. And so security would have to be stepped up. I spoke with Dane about it. You know, certainly the cameras and cameras that are monitored in various locations, but also secured access, especially the back doors, possibly an alarm system, because there are very large windows in that building, and certainly some kind of panic button. It's probably just 2 blocks from downtown. You know, it's really not that far away, but you can't see it from here. If something was to go on, nobody here would see. But you know, other than beefing up a few rooms, we do have to have some lockable rooms for like license plates, and some things installed for that. But I see it as fairly minimal upgrades, but that is something I want fully addressed, is the security.
Well, and from the camera system, I actually have a gentleman that's gonna be coming in this week, I believe Wednesday. And so the thought was, it's the same group that had put in the cameras in both the jail and the courthouse. And so the thought would be to install the camera system for exterior, interior, however he wants the camera system, but have it where we can monitor, Larry can monitor from here, and even have it more of a 24-hour monitoring to be able to monitor from the jail. So in other words, it'd be under 24-hour surveillance, live surveillance between Larry and the jail administrators.
How much modification to that building to accommodate, counter space? I mean, what are you thinking?
Counter's probably gonna be the big one. I'd kinda like to leave what's there, because there's so much counter already installed and it's very good quality. But, you know, we'd have to see, would it make more sense to just demo that and put in a new one, or could we match that and section off the lobby? It's set up pretty well, surprisingly, for what we need. I don't think it would take a whole lot as far as structurally.
Got plenty of storage room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a good place for locking up, you know, the
Yeah.
things that have to be secured. We do have a public records section in our office that needs to still be accessible by the public, but that boardroom is right off the lobby. So I think that would flow very well. And I have long wanted a drive-through. There's a good place for that. Of course, a road's gonna have to be built to put that in.
From the back.
From the back, correct. And I do think we need additional parking in the back for
I
employees.
think that's gonna be the biggest expense, if you put parking in the rear.
Yeah.
Dang, they're gonna have to add another culvert.
Yeah.
And then, maybe.
What about the,
Plenty of room.
security things between the people that come in and pay their taxes and your people that work there? I know over here we got the plexiglass and all that there. Will we have to do that over there at that other building?
Yes, yeah, and that's just what I meant by
Move
the,
that.
by the counter.
Yeah, and I just know you got 4 girls,
Yeah.
4 people.
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember over there, I figured you got to have some more counter space.
Yes, that counter space is not enough. There's room in the lobby for there to be enough, but
Move it out.
the counter and
Extend it.
those counters, one good thing about them is they're a lot higher than what we have now. So that adds a little bit of security right there, but I would like something akin to what a bank has, rather than just cheap plexiglass, maybe a couple, 3 foot of good glass that would really be hard for anybody to overcome.
You could also, in consideration, because I know the judge had talked about the wanting voter administration there, but you could put the registrar, and we spoke about that. You could put the registrar at that facility with them and leave the administrator down with the machines. I mean, they're training, personnel training, these kind of things, but functionally, it could be done, and I don't think there's anything that prevents the registrar and the audit,
That's all.
yeah, I don't think there's any issues with that I'm aware of, so.
Only thing I can think is public, I don't know how much public access the registrar needs. Are people always coming back? You know, that's something I haven't
I
really thought
believe that
through.
where it is down there.
Well, for them, but I mean, I want to limit, you know, the public coming into the,
Well, we have that door on
Interior
the
of the building.
side where the dispatch was gonna come in. We could maybe, you know,
Have
do
entrance
something
for
there
that.
for them to come in on that side door.
You can just make that the registrar's office
Yeah.
back up there, because they could have all the records and files and have their own.
Yeah. And they'd be coming in from a different side, and it
Okay.
wouldn't be access to the rest of their building. Would that work?
I would think so. And there's so many rooms over there. You know, I've just been there just Friday, but from what I remember, there's lots of rooms, so I think there's lots of options there.
I think if there's a decision or we're considering trying to move this direction, the most critical point we need to think about at this time, I ran into the Windstream guys, they've got a ticket to pull the county fiber this week, they think they'll have that done. They have not seen the ticket for the hot cop pull yet, but I would suggest that we immediately contact hot cop to inform them of this change almost immediately, you know, so.
What Windstream is doing, we would still need.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, we just would set up over here, but I know they're working with AT&T, Windstream, and they're
Still
got
need
more
that
tickets
down there.
in for fiber pulls and stuff. This over here already had, and we need to look at
But we would
what.
still need some of that.
Yeah, we're gonna need it for his office, yes. Because we only pulled one fiber in there, and he needed that. He's gonna need that for his servers.
Would we need anything else if we're gonna put the, voter registration down there?
No, it would feed off his same. Well, as long as there's no restrictions, I don't know if there's any legal restriction requirements, you know, of,
Either on the tax office or the voter?
yeah, we can split it through a hub where it's a dedicated feed on a local area network.
What about down here, would you just be running, you moving servers over to where the deputies are now, or just?
Well, all that stuff, what I would envision is, because there's a little office inside that room where, whoever lieutenant or whoever Travis is sitting. So we'd take all that out and put any of the hot call type, equipment, that'd be like our computer room.
To be locked up.
They keep it locked up, it needs to be locked up
Away
in there,
from the jail.
and away from the jail. I mean,
So they'd put your 911 stuff moving in there, but would there be, other than 911 and your consoles, is that pretty much all?
that's
locked
pretty
up?
much,
But your servers and stuff that you've got in the sheriff's department right now, would they stay or?
yeah, those would say, most of that stuff over there, the servers that are over there are for the jail. They're lock time systems, they're camera systems, that's jail stuff. So it
Where
would,
is that now? Where is that?
It's gonna be all that's set up in the sheriff's office.
Yes, it is now.
Yeah, and it's gonna stay, and the stuff that's for the jail is gonna stay, that stuff's not gonna move, we're not gonna, the only thing that's gonna change, would come out of the sheriff's office would be that front area, that entry room that's
Oh,
dispatched with the consoles and
That
such.
goes-
Right. But it opens up the sheriff's office a lot too. I mean, the sheriff, I believe, got to stay with the jail, so he couldn't move across the street physically himself. I mean, I have an office over there, but I think the sheriff has got to be located with the jail. But what he's gonna do is he's gonna open it up. If the sheriff needs a bigger office, then, you know, it's gonna create some, it should create some free space in the sheriff's office, I would think. But that's gonna have to get with the sheriff. So, anyway, and like I said, we're on time. Right now, system's up. If we go cloud platform with the CG side of things, we're ready for the move and we're up and running. I mean,
Where are y'all at on I guess the last thing you talking about installation on cars, that was sort of.
yeah, that's been a real pain. We spent two full days, got 2 cars installed.
You got some defective equipment though.
We got defective equipment, we ended up having to change, from Motorola, they had a technician come in for install, but Motorola, we were putting in new equipment, it was defective, so we were trouble testing. At the end of the day, we got 2 vehicles up. So what the decision was, more from the sheriff's side, was go ahead and have installers come in, because the thing is, one, we can't really, I mean, we're not installers, right? We have to have somebody come in and install these camera systems, and when they do, they probably go down and they get with you to go do it at a bay down at your barn and just have an installer, then they can test and troubleshoot it. And we're not doing it, because I wouldn't have ever known that, I would have assumed that those parts were good because they're brand new, right? And they're defective, and we were tracing it, and
Crazy.
it just was a real pain. So, what I'm trying to do is coordinate where we could do the cars with camera, body cam, with body cam's pretty much done, but the car video and the laptop pedestal installs and all that get done. I did, in talking with E-Force, they confirmed that they would be able to utilize the computers, laptops. I think I shared with you guys with cost savings. We should be fine using those. I would suggest we buy one, get it in here, install it, test it, make sure there's nothing, and then if everything's good, then we buy the balance of it. The other thing is, once again, I mean, this is what I'm finding out. So we got a lot of equipment we're probably not going to utilize. We're going to see if we can do return for credit type stuff, but we've bought for 20 vehicles, which is what I've been told all along. And I think the real count's probably going to be 15. So there's your some budget savings money here. So anyway, we'll sort through that.
All right, back to the other now. The tax office, after it moves and the deputies will be there, will we have a generator there? Or we just wait and see?
I don't think we'll need a generator over there necessarily. I mean, that's just the deputy's office.
I don't have one where they're at right now.
No, but they don't have the deputies over there.
She's talking about, will this generator work over there? Will the jail generator carry the dispatch and across the street?
No.
Okay.
No, okay, so we,
Well, all I'm saying is where the deputies are now,
Yeah.
don't have a generator.
right, but when the dispatch goes in there, it'll have to connect. But then, when the deputies are across the street, since they're using, they won't have to have.
They won't need, the
Okay,
deputy
I
shouldn't
got you.
need a generator, not that I see.
This has.
Yeah, not that I'm.
So the worst case scenario is, if we did have to buy a generator for that building right there,
You got one.
we really hadn't saved anything generator wise.
You got one.
It's still mine right now.
Okay.
Well, at one time, Renee, weren't we talking about doing something with that building for you? Weren't you gonna store some records or something, or is that somewhere else?
Well, there were 2 deputies in that hallway,
That's where the CIDs,
and
when it
y'all
comes to
gave me that space,
Okay.
and we are utilizing it for storage.
So you don't need anything else?
I'll take what I can get, but if the dispatchers need the whole room,
Yeah.
they can have it. But if they don't need but half of it, I have more records that I can bring in. But we're good right now. But, I don't know how many dispatchers we have versus how big that room is. Do y'all need the whole room?
We could probably, I mean, we could probably, I mean, how much space are you talking about? How much square footage? I mean, how many records? You just put like legal boxes?
They're big books.
Of the books?
Yeah,
Are those scanned in, or will they be?
no, but that's what we're working toward over the next few years.
They
is
will
getting
be.
the early records in.
Will be
Yeah.
scanned in.
How accessible do they need to be? Are they things you pull on, you're into all the time, or is it just kind of stored?
Not all the time, but sometimes customers will come
I think
in.
we could accommodate, I mean, I think there's enough room there, we could accommodate storage for you in that, even in that office if we had to. It'd be under lock and key and not
Okay,
accessible.
well, just keep that in mind. We're good how we are right
By the
now.
time we get the dispatchers,
But-
we have a office room, office for the administrator part. I bet it's gonna be pretty much full. Have you been in there? If we're gonna do set up for 4, at least 3
There's plenty of room, I mean, it's a roomy room, I mean, that's the thing,
Okay.
is, and that was the concern, part of the concern about this new building down here. We were building out the room, but it was narrow, and it was gonna be confined, and you're asking people to sit there 12 hours a day, and it just,
Okay,
No.
all right, thank you.
Okay.
What else? Let's make a decision. What are we gonna do? Because we need to make a decision about the tower, don't we? Pretty quickly.
And the generator, because I need to go call the newspaper too.
Yeah.
I guess the worst case scenario is the one thing we wouldn't say would be generator costs, because we may have to put a generator here, may or may not.
All right.
So you're basically saving your tower cost and the antennas that we were gonna purchase new, so we didn't have to take them down and 911 be down for so long.
You were talking about, this is just using 43%? The
You
jail?
said 47.
47.
You think that will?
Consistently. That's, cranks up everything, every system running right now in the jail, including the new phone system that was added in, is running at 47. Now, it's gonna go up as, air compressors and all that kick on for air conditioning and everything else. Fans on all your servers and all that kind of stuff. So, you typically don't wanna get above about 55%, because when you start having loads turn on and off, it'll start tripping the breaker on the generator.
But it's accommodating dispatch where it is, that generator. I know you can't look at it that way. Because it's a different building and where, but I mean, you're gonna lighten the load over there
Exactly.
somewhat.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to look at it from
So in my mind, there's a couple of options. So the room that you're talking about over in this other building, you're gonna have heat and air, not only for the personnel, but also your servers. So is all that gonna be in one area on one system, or are you gonna have 2 different systems?
It's a split system,
It's a split system?
split system.
Okay, like a mini split, or like a major, big
The
room?
building's more or less divided in half, heat and
Gotcha.
air on one end, heat and air on the other.
Okay, so where you're pulling your dispatch load off of this building, you're adding in an air conditioning and heating load on this other
Yeah, I
building,
get that. I just
along with your lights.
No,
Now, you could,
The west end of the Clark building, and I didn't walk around and look at the front of the electrical boxes, but there's 2 great big, I guess, disconnects or.
so those, from my understanding, because there's there's a couple on both sides of the town square here, or mainly for the landscape lighting around the courthouse and everything.
Where's the meter for the clerk's building?
It's on a telephone pole by the side door coming in from the, right here.
So that
right
one
here.
200 amp service is running that whole building?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
With all due respect, I think Leonard, because I know Leonard's just hearing about that this morning, his committee, I don't know what kind of input, you know, this, if this is gonna work for them, because I mean, this is certainly affecting what they're doing. I don't know if Leonard's got any thoughts on it.
Maybe
Yeah, I mean, I have plenty of thoughts, but, Steve said he can't cancel the tower. It's already been fabricated and shipped.
can't cancel.
No, ma'am. I've been texting him back and forth, trying to see. I told him what y'all were kind of trying to plan. He said it still may need to be used right here. So, moving it possibly could not cancel a tower anyways. He just would have to do that point to point to find out for sure.
Put it up out of the
And that tower wouldn't be useful for what we were talking about over on the east end of the county?
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. That one had to be well over 100 foot.
We don't have to make a decision right now, we can go on with the bids for the generator. Do we have dispatch discussion on Wednesday's agenda?
If we do.
Let's go out for bids on the generator.
Well, I think.
All right.
Stay with the agenda.
Go back to item 1.
Item number 1, go out for bids for generators.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor, aye? Motion carried. Advertising, all right. Any comments from Commissioners Court members?
Security from the courthouse. Larry wasn't here Friday. We had a guy come in that was kind of, confused. I think Beth had stepped out to the clerk's office, and I came in with just Karen and I. We went back out in the hall. I spoke to him when I came in, went back out in the hall, and he had disappeared. So we looked down both stairways, didn't see him. Now, I never thought anything else about it. But he found his way up to the 4th floor, in the balcony of the courtroom, and fell. And if Steve and the inmates, my understanding, had been making their rounds through the courthouse, gathering up all the trash that they do on Fridays, he could have still been there. They heard him, ambulance carried him to the hospital. If Larry's not gonna be here, we need a person in that room for security for this courthouse. To greet the people. We got new people living in Freestone County. They come in, want to pay their taxes. Larry says, go right out the back door, tax office across the street. Need to file a deed, clerk's office right here. Driver's license day, right down the stairs. He does a great job. If he's not gonna be here, we either need a constable to be here or a deputy. The room, if Steve's gone, there's not another man in this courthouse unless the sergeant's here. In the world, it ain't stable now, folks. But this guy could have laid there
All weekend.
all weekend. We could have locked up Friday afternoon, he could have still been there. He was from Dawson, Texas. Now, how he ended up at Freestone County Courthouse, not knowing, come here from Sikkim, that's not good. That is not good.
He was checking the acoustics up at the district courtroom.
I'm sorry? Well, whatever. That's a bad deal. Doesn't need to be made light of.
Well, I tell you another problem we got that I've noticed, is not always, is the door shut down there at the bottom, going out to the east side. I mean, I came in there this morning and it was open. So, I mean, if we put security locks on the doors for a reason, are we gonna use them, or are we gonna just use them when we want to?
I don't know.
About half the time, I don't have to use them on deal when I come and go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes it's blue light, not green.
It was,
I mean, it's-
yeah, it was blue this morning.
But I don't think it's just not catching, I think sometimes it's set to stay unlocked.
Yeah, I
It
mean, I
is
think
on
it is.
Wednesdays.
Yes, and then when you pick up pay stubs or payroll, anything to do with payroll on those days, Jeannie leaves it open.
Days on Wednesday, days not payroll. It's
Like I
open
said,
at-
on Wednesdays, it is left open, but that's the only time I
Regardless.
know that it's left open.
Yeah.
It was open today.
Well, I think that that door's not pulling back, so it hits the magnetic and lock, that, you know, it's like spring is home, I think, and so it's.
Back to my comment, I'm not worried about the doors, I'm worried about somebody being here when Larry is not here, that's got some control.
We will talk to the sheriff Wednesday.
And
when
if the
he's-
sheriff, if they can't provide us somebody, I know we got some constables that are not covered up and busy. And they can put their time in up here, they got a gun on, they're professional people, and yeah, it's not right,
Okay, we'll talk about that Wednesday then too.
okay?
I think the sheriff will be here, and that would be the person to address, I think.
That's all I gotta say.
Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Turn.